So I have a bonus here, a special guest that I'm really happy to talk to, and I actually going to let him introduce himself. I think he does that really good. So,
Yeah, my name is Johan Hägerström, and I'm the chief editor at the biggest VR site in the Scandinavian market, VRSVERIGE.se.
and with that said, I'm really happy to be able to talk to you for a while.
Nice.
And the thing is, first of all, I would like to know, for how long have you been doing this? I mean, when it comes to this.
So when it comes to VR, I'm what you call an early enthusiast, and I've always been a fan of the new media. But I started my site about 4 or 5 years ago as a, like a hobby blog that everybody did at that time. And then the past year, as VR grew to something really big, we started this as a company and now do it for full time. Yeah.
Does that mean that, are you doing this alone or are there other employees?
Yeah, so right now we are 4 founders of the team who works full time, and we just hired our first employee, so to speak. Yeah, so we're growing steadily.
That sounds beautiful. I mean, getting into VR, we all know that virtual reality is something that is growing and is growing really fast.
Yeah.
I mean, just a few years ago, that wasn't so much out there when it comes to games, and the technology was a bit, like in the beginning. And
it was very far from good enough, so to speak. Yeah.
Definitely. How would you say things have been proceeding from there? If you take like a perspective of going back.
Well, if I go back, let's say in the beginning, let's say to 2013, when Oculus made their big Kickstarter thing, that kind of kickstarted the whole business. At that time, we have this Stockholm VR meetup who started at the time. And the first meetup, we were like 10 guys in a cellar who didn't know each other and just met up and had some fun together. Now, last week, there are 1,200 members in the group, and they meet every month and show local stuff and the news from the world, and just take it from there. And also Stockholm has become a really good place for small and flexible indie teams to really make something of VR, following the big unicorns, the big names.
Yeah. I think this is interesting as well, because normally also in the kind of platform normal gaming industry with PC games and the console games, I think recently we've seen that it's so important with these indie game developers.
Oh, yeah.
Because they come up with the new things. They're not bound to a publisher that tells them you have to do this and this and this, not so strict, so they can experiment and come up with new ideas and things. Is that what you also see now when it comes to the VR scene?
Oh yeah, especially now, because a lot of the knowledge to make great VR games are kind of zeroed out. So the big famous publishers can't really rely on the old knowledge anymore. They need to go out and start iterate and fail again. And the big companies are really not made for that yet. So last week I talked to some former members from DICE and Frostbite who left the company and started their own indie team, because they need a new kind of environment to test and try and fail and do it all over again. Because everything is so new and all the tools are new and all the knowledge are new. So it's really the chance for small indie teams to make it as big as big guys. Yeah. So yeah, and especially when it comes to, I also meet a lot of women and girls who want to get in the tech business, and this is the right opportunity to get in and don't feel left behind from the start. So they can really go in and make a big impact from start. Really important.
Yeah, this is good news, and as you say, also really important, because I've talked to other people in the gaming industry, and of course, if we talk about the gender, kind of, it's mostly men still, but maybe this is a chance also for more girls to get into the gaming development scene and try to.
And I usually tell when I meet, we have a meetup group here in Stockholm who's called the Women in Tech and Girls in VR meetup group. And I usually try to push them as hard as I can. Don't miss this opportunity to get on the horse. Because there are not that many times in your life when you get in this big technology push like VR is becoming. And I don't think women can afford to lose another of these big leaps.
Yeah.
They need to get on the horse now, and it's the prime time to start small teams and every opportunity to really succeed, I think, fast.
This is really interesting, and I think this is. You mentioned, like, for example, some people tend to when they've worked for a while in a big major company such as DICE or similar, maybe they feel that they want to get back the sort of feet back on the ground, boots on the ground, and do creative things again, and don't need to think about anything else, just be creative. Yeah. And usually from that point of view, things like new good things come up from the soil. Yeah. So I certainly understand that. What with your work now, tell me a bit more about it.
Yes, so the site VRSVERIGE, which basically means VR Sweden in Swedish, it has 3 legs. So the first is the editorial part, which I'm the boss of, and I would been doing for 3-4 years by now. But what we have noticed is that the site is becoming a huge magnet for companies who want to start doing VR of some kind. So they come to us and they say, hello, we want to do VR, and then we ask them what you want to do, and they have absolutely no clue at all. So there's a huge need for education and project leading education, and everything from the tool building to the world building to the project technology. The skill level right now is really on the ground. It's nothing. So we decided as part of the editorial, we also need to do a pure VR education, classic workshop, and strategy meetings with these big companies, because they have no clue. So the editorial site, the workshop and event, and then the classical project leading and management, other people's projects. Yeah.
This seems like a big thing, because I kind of can refer this to other things also, sometimes in the music field where I also do things. I mean, there's usually a lot of creative people, they have good ideas, but they don't really know how to make it happen. They need, tools is one thing, but also knowledge and contacts and all those things. I can imagine that your work here for the VR scene sounds, for me, since we just met like 15 minutes ago, sounds very important.
Yeah, at least I think so.
Yes.
And it's funny, because if you look back a few years, you can see the exact same of a cycle when people started websites like 15 years ago. People wanted to do it, nobody knew how to, and everybody could be an expert. Then push forward a few years, people started doing the same with mobile apps, exactly the same cycle, and now it's VR who do the cycle. But I think this technology leap with VR is even more important and can affect more businesses all over.
How do you, I mean, from your point of view, your insight in this part of the field when it comes to VR gaming studio creative part, how much does that differ from a normal kind of gaming studio?
I think a VR studio is more open, and they can't just have one goal. They need to, from the start, they need to have a lot of goals and try different stuff. So when I meet local VR studios, they usually always have a lot of projects, and the most of them won't be anything, but they need to try them and fail them and learn from them, so they finally can get on the right track. So there's always a lot of testing, and making a lot of mistakes. That's the way you learn. So that's probably not that different from a normal studio, but a normal game studio has been around for decades, right? But I also see these young people with great ideas who just not only understand that they are important, but they also see the opportunity to actually make money and make a living on it already. So when I meet new people today, which is kind of often because I'm a college teacher normally, go into VR business, start making something, whatever, and from the start you become important for the big companies. So it's a whole new level of opportunities for young people to get their minds in, and career building also. So yeah.
That's really interesting. So with that said, I mean, you're into something here, so I wanted to continue that thread a bit. If you would give advice for, people, maybe young people getting into the VR business, or people starting up a kind of studio and having a vision with the game, what kind of advices would you like to give them?
Well, first of all, most of the tools out there for doing VR work is free. So get a good PC, that's a good start. Download one of the big VR game engines, Unity or Unreal. Both are free and free to use and free to make money on up to a certain level. So there's no reason not to go out and try it. And then of course YouTube. There are like millions of good tutorials who everybody can use and learn. And I think everyone with some kind of basic PC or gaming knowledge can start with this game engine, start to try small projects, use them right in your VR headset, or use them just on the screen and share with your friends and try, is this fun, is this not fun, and learn from that. And all of a sudden you're an expert that's way ahead of a lot of the traditional experts, just because you tried and you put some time in it. So that's my biggest part. And then of course, try to go to a gaming school or programming school or something. It's not hard to learn. It's really easy, and right now there haven't ever been this big opportunity for young people to make that in the business.
That sounds awesome and very interesting. I started to get inspiration myself listening to you.
That's the idea.
Yep. So for you guys out there, you're here. You can start doing this. And if I may also ask you, if you would be able to, or if you would get into, with your knowledge now and experience and talking about this, if you would do your own VR game, what would that be?
Well, it's a hard question.
Yeah, I know it's a hard question.
But also I'm a huge sci-fi fan.
So me too.
I made a personal goal to watch every sci-fi movie ever made in the 50s, and I'm about to 95% done. So I watched like thousands of movies, all TV series. So my perfect dream VR game must be something with space or a cockpit or some adventure game. So I like this progress-based game where you go out and do business or quests and collect experience point, this classic progression game. But it's in kind of sci-fi setting with some kind of ship and some kind of aliens and a good story. Yeah, that's my dream game.
That sounds great. I would definitely play that game because I'm a sci-fi fan as well. I've been watching, this is just curiosa, as you might say. I've been watching Westworld recently, and that would probably make kind of something good for a VR game, I think.
Yeah. It's kind of almost built on some VR world thing,
Exactly.
right? So that's kind of low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
But so here towards the end of this interview, I would like to if people are interested to get to know more, maybe get in contact with you and to check out your site and everything, please give us the info.
Yeah, so first of all, the site, which is in Swedish right now, but we have news coming in a few weeks and a month where we're going in other languages that you probably know better. So the site is called VRSVERIGE.se. It's hard to pronounce, but you can find us on the site or on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram and all the places. Follow the newsletter as usual. And especially if you're around or near Stockholm, you should come visit us. Because we do a lot of public events that's open and free for the public. They usually have some kind of theme. Last month we did one on education and science. Next one is going to be on architecture and city planning, and then we have a big event in February that's going to be around gaming.
Wow.
So VR and gaming, and free for everyone. A lot of fun VR demos to try, and just come and hang out and meet the coolest guys in town.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Well, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.